That is so fetch.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaiya, and today I'm going to be reviewing the debut LP, The Karelian Isthmus by Amorphis. I am super excited about this video, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. Amorphis originally started out as a progressive death doom metal band from Helsinki, Finland. Their debut album, The Karelian Isthmus, was released November 1st, 1992 by Relapse Records and features 11 tracks with a runtime of 44 minutes and 34 seconds. This was the band's first official release with Relapse Records after just one demo released independently the year prior. Their debut record features original band members Tommi Koivusaari on vocals and acoustic and electric guitars, Esa Holopainen on electric and 12-string acoustic guitar, Olli-Pekka Lane on bass, and Jan Reichberger on drums and keyboards. The actual name of Amorphis comes from the Greek word of the same name, which means without determinate form or otherwise shapeless. Amorphis was also the first band added to the Metal Archive's website. The cover art was done by Miran Kim from New Jersey, and what I think is quite interesting is that this artist was a visual and cover artist for the official X-Files comic book series and has done artwork and cover art for many bands that we are familiar with today. For example, she did the cover art for Incantations Records' Diabolical Conquest in 1998 and Onward to Golgotha in 1992. She also did Black Earth by Arch Enemy in 1996, as well as art for Abscess and Defecation. The Karelian Isthmus was recorded and mixed at Sunlight Studios in Stockholm, Sweden, and executively produced by Matthew Jacobson and William J. Yurkowicz Jr., who happened to also be the two co-founders of Relapse Records. At the time of this record's release, Relapse was just barely 2 years old, but had already signed bands such as Incantation and Deceased. It's not unusual for record label authorities to sit in on recording sessions to give their input and help produce a record. This also allows for record label executives to make sure a record sounds good enough for release and is a good representation of the band as well as the record label in order to maximize profits. It's also not uncommon for a record label to use the same staff and studio to not only record, produce, but to also master a record, especially in the early days of being a business, being a record label. This is true for Amorphis' debut album, which features Dave Shirk on mastering. Now, Dave Shirk also mastered many of Relapse's earliest bands, including Exhumed and their 1998 debut, Gore Metal, as well as Mortician's earliest record, Hacked Up for Barbecue in 1997 and Chainsaw Dismemberment in 1999. Karelian Isthmus was originally released on CD and cassette formats in the first year, with 3,500 limited edition green transparent vinyls being pressed the following year in 1993. These limited edition, now vintage vinyls run for over $300 US on Discogs and feature an awesome band photo on the back cover with all the young band members. The name of the record comes from a historic Finnish battleground, which is called the Karelian Isthmus, which stands for a narrow strip of land that is now located in Russia between Lake Ladoga and the Gulf of Finland. The isthmus belonged to the Russian Empire from 1721 until 1917, when the country of Finland declared its independence. Other than the historic Finnish location being known in the name, the actual album's lyrical content focuses more on epic themes ranging from Finnish warfare, religion, and Celtic mythology, with meticulously placed occult mentionings throughout the record. Now that you know some of the history and details about this record, let's get into the music, because ultimately that is the most important part of this review. The album opens up with the instrumental track Karelia, which is obviously a song about the historical Finnish location. I love this interlude. It's a very beautiful way to open up the record, and it features what sounds like a 12-string guitar layered with an acoustic guitar. There's also really beautiful soft synths layered on top of this as well. Track 2, The Gathering, features a very catchy guitar riff. The drums sound great, and the mix is very nicely balanced on my speakers. I definitely get the progressive death doom vibes within this song. There's also a really great breakdown with a very catchy riff. It's very doom metal all around, and instantly the vocals in this song reminded me of Acid Witch. I discovered Acid Witch this year, and I fell in love with their record Satanic Hallucination. So you're gonna hear me say a lot in this video that Acid Witch, there's similarities between the two. I love the vocals. I love the vocals of this record. That's just what you gotta know. The track Grail's Mysterious, which is track number 3, continues with a rad, catchy, bouncy riff with some really nice high string synths layered just below it. I also love the breakdown riff instrumental after the chorus. It's super groovy and nice, slow pace, but it has this bounce to it. Like, it just makes you want to like bob your head. And the lyrics for this song are also very poetic. Like, for example, here is the first verse from the song. I shall have a son, out of Cornwall shall he come, that shall be a wild boar bristled with steel. He shall be a man most brave and noble in thought. There's no stopping as we go right into track 4, which is called Warrior's Tale. This is such a fluid transition from track 3 to track 4 that I didn't even realize that these were 2 separate songs. Now, I did listen to this full album on vinyl. I have the record right there, which I will show you a little later in this video. But yeah, I was just kind of doing some notes while listening and cleaning my house and various things like that. And I did not notice how fluid this transition was. So to actually hear that this was a different song was really, really cool. Warrior's Tale has this great atmospheric doomy sound to it. There's this great doomy breakdown towards the end of the track. Warrior's Tale also features a synth choir at the end, which is layered just below the electric guitars. I'm obsessed with the guitar riff in this song, and Tommy delivered in giving this record extremely catchy and memorable guitar riffs, and you can really hear it in this, and I'm obsessed with it. And by this point in the album, I was getting such an awesome Viking warrior vibe from the instrumentals, especially in this song. There's kind of this higher ending note featured in the main riff of the song, and the effect on the guitar gives it this very far away reverb effect, like it's echoing in some hallway or echoing in like almost like a throne room or something like that. It's very visual for me. Track 5, Black Embrace, is also super groovy and features a trippy instrumental bridge that reminds me so much of Acid Witch, again in terms of vibe and tone. It's very psychedelic, and I love the double bass and higher guitar riff instrumentals at the end. And then we immediately go into track 6, which is Exile of the Sons of Euceliu, I believe is how you pronounce it. Don't come for me, okay? I'm trying here. This song starts out very strong. Again, this track is just layered with double bass. Love double bass. It's so delicious, and has a very memorable, catchy guitar riff. You keep hearing me say that. There's also, again, gurgly, deep, doomy vocals coming from Tommy on this track. And I realized halfway through listening to this record that this album reminds me so much of old school Amon Amarth with how catchy it is, and in some of the kind of like Viking metal-esque instrumentals and lyrics and tone that it's delivering. I later realized that this is not so much of an odd comparison, considering that Amon Amarth is from Sweden, which is right next door to Finland, which is where Amorphis originated from. Amorphis quickens up the main riff towards the middle of this song with these fake wind sounds, which then takes us into, again, another double bass doom section that is very Acid Witch. Again, I feel like they shine more in this pocket when they're doing these kind of like doom, double bass, gurgly vocals, like that's their pocket. That's where they really shine in this record. Doom, Viking metal, death metal, and a little bit of psychedelic metal elements. And when I mean psychedelic, I don't mean like puff pass stoner psychedelic metal, which is what you get with Acid Witch. You know, Acid Witch was very kind of Halloween psychedelic, a little bit more on the stoner side in terms of the instrumentals and samples that they used. Whereas this is more, I envision it as this being more of like a medieval kind of psychedelic, like a horrid medieval alchemist creating potions and diabolical concoctions, similar to what we saw in Game of Thrones with the wildfire. That's what I got. I'm telling you, I'm a visual listener. That's what I got. Turning over to side B on vinyl, we begin with track 7, which is called The Lost Name of God. Now, this track starts out with a really nice instrumental section with, again, more doomy guitar riffs. This album makes me feel like I'm a dirty knight that's going into battle. The vocals are very forward in this mix and sound phlegmy as all hell. And it's just like Acid Witch. I love them. I love the deep forward gurgly vocals. They sound extremely similar to Lassie Pico from Acid Witch. Lassie's got a great voice. It's the same for me. It's very similar. There's great use of echo effects in certain places as well, not just in this track, but in a couple others throughout this record, which really helps fill out the verses and makes them linger in a good way. This song also features a spoken word at the end of this song, which sounds like again a medieval character from Game of Thrones. We then move on to track 8, which is called The Pilgrimage. Now, this song sounds a lot like the previous track, The Lost Name of God, in the beginning, but Amorphis placed a really nice synth that is both higher and lower in harmony, so it kind of snuggles around this kind of like guitar solo. And then they also added these like choral synths that layer the guitar riff in the verses afterwards, so it's a really nice listening experience. And this added detail definitely capitalizes on that, again, doomy sound. Misery Path, which is track 9, is more of the same, which isn't bad. It's just, it wasn't the most memorable. Now, at this point in the record, we're 3 tracks away from the end, so it's not surprising that you would have a few, not duds, but just some that are a little more on the kind of filler side. Now, that being said, this is still a really catchy, groovy song with a great riff, and I thought the production was very nice on this song. I just think that there's other songs that are a little bit more memorable in my point of view, but this is not a bad song at all. The next track, track 10, The Sign from the North. Now, I especially love the ending of the song with the climbing guitar riff. The lyrics are really great too. For example, here's a verse from the song. Cry of hope, angels cry. This was omen, our sign, prediction. Distant gate, Gothic grave. Through ages our clan still remain. In this proud land I grew up strong. My tears are flowing all around. The wind is twisting my sorrow. I still believe in truth and hate. The final track is called Vulgar Necrolatry, which is actually an Abhorrence cover. And if you're not familiar with Abhorrence, they are a death doom metal band which Tommy Koivasari created as the guitar player in 1989 before Amorphis officially formed. This song starts off with a bang. It's extremely jammy and of course features great guitar riffs from both Tommy and Issa. The track ends almost like a breath being quickly and finally exhaled sharply. The reverb effect placed on this exhale sound is really great and final. And I think it's the perfect way to end a record because it doesn't leave it, well, it leaves just enough hanging, but it's very quick and very sudden, almost as if your Viking character just died. Like it's like a, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like it really is a breath being finally exhaled, which I thought was a very cool, very simple effect, you know? Overall, I give this record a solid 9 out of 10. I think Amorphis really created something special with this debut, and I am thoroughly impressed with this record. You get the best of the Viking metal aspects, like what you get with old school Amon Amarth, mixed with the classic wintry Finnish vibes of being like a medieval soldier, like what you would get with bands such as Immortal or Opeth or Moonsorrow. The doom aspects of this record are something to be reckoned with. After hearing Acid Witch earlier this year and falling in love with their sound, I can confidently say that I love Tommy's vocals on this record, and like I've been mentioning, it reminds me a lot of Acid Witch, the best of the deep, phlegmy, echoey, guttural vocals. The other highlights for me on this record, besides the overall feeling the instrumentals and vocals give me, is the guitar work. Like I mentioned, Tommy and Issa did a phenomenal job on this record. Every song features some of the catchiest, most well-written and thought-out riffs and melodies, and it works to help tell this story that is filled with the essence of Finnish folklore. And I think if I had to pick something that was kind of a downside for this record, I would say the only thing I would want more of is more acoustic guitar and 12-string instrumentals. But if you've been watching me for a while, you would know that, girl, I would do anything for acoustic guitar instrumentals. If you've got a choir, if you've got a 12-string acoustic anything, I'm there for it. I love when that stuff is featured in my metal records, so I could always use more of that personally. That being said, this is a true masterpiece of a record and one that I am super proud to have in my vinyl collection. And for those that know and have been watching me for a bit, this is the first vinyl in my ABCs of vinyl series, obviously A for Amorphis, and yeah, I'm super happy to own this record. It really did blow me away, but I've also heard a lot from y'all that this was a really, really strong piece of work. And, you know, I know that Amorphis has changed their sound. They're not this like death doom metal band as much anymore. And that's okay. You know, it's okay to change your sound and grow, and they're not the same band by any means anymore, but this is a really, really strong debut, and I'm happy to own it, and I'm happy to listen to it. Now, I am going to tell you right now, no, I did not pick up the vintage vinyl of this record, but I did buy this off of Hell's Headbangers. I have a like shopping haul of this record, and you know, I mean, they stuck with the kind of same seafoam green vinyl that was in the, you know, limited edition vinyl. The only difference is that there's no band photo on the back, which, like you saw in the picture, there was a nice like band photo here of them in front of rocks, and I don't have that on this one, but that's okay. Now she's a little beat. I don't know what happened to her, but she got a little beat up. But this is just so cool. I love the silver font, and yeah, I just love the artwork. And The insert itself features the lyrics, so it's very simple. It's a very simple insert. Just a single piece of paper with some of these like medieval soldiers fighting, you know? I'm seeing if there's like a flag anywhere. There's not a flag, but I don't know. I'm assuming that this might represent some of the war history from the Karelian Isthmus, because that is a very huge part of their history. They had an industrial revolution at the time, very profitable fishing locations, and just a profitable area historically, just based on where it's at. So, so again, the vintage and original vinyl for this is like a transparent green. This is more of like a lapis lazuli, so you can't really see the color too much in the video, but it is a lapis lazuli in person, and it's a little sparkly, a little silvery and sparkly, but she gorgeous, she pretty, she listens well, she's a good girl. Anyway, y'all, that is going to do it for today's video. As always, this is just my opinion, so I would love to hear your thoughts on this album. What did you think about it? What would you rate it? Do you own the album? And have you seen Amorphis live? What was that like? If you liked today's video, make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out a lot. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you spending time with me. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.